Hello and welcome to another fun-filled knife adventure. Hooray! So today we're going to be taking a look at the Kansept Hira or Hira. This is one of their newer offerings and it is one I've been looking forward to checking out. So let's get into it here. As normal, you have the booklet, the pouch, some desiccant, and the knife itself. So let's get this thing out of here and set the box over here to the side. Get it out of the plastic. Let's take a look at this thing. Beautiful lines on this thing. Let me wipe it off a little bit so it looks presentable. The oil and such. Let me get the oil off the blade also. Alright. Now we're back into it. So as you see, it has some super cool milling up here. It has nice bead blasted finish. Nice big clip. The clip is not reversible, so sorry left-handed people. This one is a right-handed carry only. The centering looks great on it. As you can see, the clip looks like it's going to work well. We will check that out later on. Looks like the hardware pivot is T8. These body screws look T8. The lock bar insert looks maybe T6. These look T8. So let's open this thing up and check out the blade on it. There we go. Super interesting looking blade with a compound grind on it. I don't think it's got a recurve on this part. I think that's straight, and then this has got a curve to it. But I don't think this curves in at all, so that's good for sharpening. Doesn't have the largest sharpening choil ever, but it looks like you could get a few sharpenings out of it. Nice fuller on it. I'm sure you can use to open the knife. I did open it with the flipper tab, so action seems good. It closes good. Yeah, you can definitely use the fuller to open it with reverse flick. You do have to get your finger in there good. As you see, it slipped off a couple of times, but down here closer to the end, the leverage is better. So even if you don't hardly get in there, yeah, open fine with reverse flick. Let's see if you can use that fuller to open it regular. No, doesn't look like you're going to be able to get enough grip on it to open it. So it's either the flipper tab or reverse flick. Flipper tab does work great. Let's see if it will fail. It will fail all the way. Yeah. So the detent is not super strong on this knife. I would like to see a little more detent or a little smoother opening action. Overall, detent feels fine. Nothing wrong with it. It's got a nice satisfying click. So it's not going to drop out for sure. I'm sure maybe if we used... Yeah. Finally got it to cut my table. That's alright. But yeah, the detent is plenty strong. It does feel satisfying at opening it from that fuller there. Ergos on it. It is rounded off nicely everywhere and chamfered and milled. I've got large hands and I can get 4 fingers on it. Doesn't have any jimping along the back. I wish it had a little jimping there. We will check the sharpness here in a minute or so. Let's get a few measurements of it. I think my scales batteries are about to run out, so hopefully we'll get one more. .37 ounces. 4.37 ounces. Let's see here. Let's get some length measurements on it. So overall length barely under 8 inches, so maybe 7.9 inches. Very close to 8 inches. Blade length is a little over 3.5, or right at 3.5 from the point to the front of the scales there. And then cutting edge combined looks pretty close to 3.5 down here also. As you can see, that kind of lines up with the front of the scales. Yep. Maybe, actually 3.4. Maybe 3.35, 3.4, something like that. Oops. Sorry about that. Let's get a couple of caliper measurements on it. Starting with the blade width at the widest point. 0.1380. This is a, I believe it's a flat grind. It's weird, it almost feels hollow this direction on this part, but I believe it is a flat grind. Yeah, it's a flat grind. So let's see how behind the edge here, what it gets down to. 0.022. And then this front part, let's see if it's any different behind the blade here. 0.022215. So that's fairly consistent. Oh yeah, let's measure the scales at the widest point without the clip. Somewhere around in there. 0.493. And then widest point with the clip, 0.646. Alright, let's do a few size comparisons here, starting with the classic comparisons, the PM2. You can see it's a little smaller than the PM2. And the Para 3. You can see it falls right in between those two. This is the Spyderco Smock. It is very similar in length to the Smock in both blade length and handle length. And let's see, this is the Spyderco Shaman. Again, very similar in overall handle size to the Shaman, a little thinner from top to bottom. Blade lengths and handle lengths though are pretty close to the same. Here is a Ontario Knives Carter Prime. Looks like it might be just a tad smaller than the Carter Prime. Here is a Vosteed Knives Thornton, one of their newer offerings. See, it's a little larger than the Thornton. Here is the Vosteed Knives Naga. Looks like it might be a little smaller than the Naga. Here is the Monterey Bay Knives Slayback. Let's see, it is pretty similar to that. And this is the Les George VECP Mimeo. You can see that it is smaller than that. Yeah, that gives you some comparison knives to check it out against. Let's see here. Ergos feel good on the handle. Wish there was some jimping. It does drop down here a little bit. You can see the blade is lower than and that kind of feels, I wouldn't say awkward, but different. Most knives are either even or have even a thumb ramp, so going down a little feels a little different. Blade shape is probably pretty slicey. Let's check out the sharpness on it. I stabbed a hole through this piece of paper with an OTF, showing somebody an example earlier, but see if it's sharp. Yes, both of the grinds are very sharp, all the way from the back to from the very back through that compound grind all the way to the very front. Yeah, they did a great job on sharpening this one at the factory. So nothing to complain about there. Let's check it out and check out some stats on it. Let's look at the markings here. So we have the name, maybe the designer's mark. We will check that out momentarily. On this side we have the S35BN blade steel and the model number. Looks like K1090A4. They do offer this knife in a few different versions, so we will check that out. Let's see here. Let's go to their website and see what they have to say about it. So as you can see, they offer 5 different versions of it. The one I got is the bead blasted Marco Knives design. So that was a, thought that looked like the letter M on that maker's mark or designer mark. They have a fully blacked out version with black wash, handle and blade. They have a bronze anodized one with a plain blade. They have a gray and stone washed handle with a plain blade. They have the Tiger Stripe Flame Ano with their Damascus blade. Then they have the model that I got. I'm a fan of plain Jane knives more so than decorative knives. Looks like the flame anode one in Damascus blade is actually cheaper than the plain one. The price on the other, let's see, looks like the price on the other 4 are the same. White Mountain Knives has them for the same price and the same models, except they don't have the plain one like I got on White Mountain Knives. But it looks like they do have, trying to see which different one they have since they offer 5, but they don't. Okay, so this one is saying bead blast with a black blade, and I don't see a bead blast with a black blade on their website. They have the stone washed with a regular blade, but with the black blade they only have, so this must be a model they have. Anyway, if you do add it to cart and you use my code, you can see I just added the last unboxing I did here, but if you use my code Alchemy10, it'll save you $19.19 and it'll bring it down to $172. So use that code Alchemy10 to save you some money on White Mountain Knives. Let's see, frame lock, traditional Japanese Hira Osoraku Zukuri shaped blades. Here provides a double action opening manual classic with the help of groove fuller and a flipper action. An EDC Tanto in your pocket. S35BN or Damascus. Multiple opening, frame lock, ceramic ball bearings, 7.9 inch overall length, just like I measured, 3.46. Tanto, flat grind, satin gray, frame lock, 4.7 ounces. The Hira and Marco Knives was the designer. Marco Panella, based in Italy. So that's cool. I'll make sure to highlight his name when I post the video on YouTube. Let's see, anything else? Yeah, let's make sure the hardware check. I always like to check the hardware and make sure I'm right on the sizes. So T8 pivot, T8 hardware on the scales, and T6 on the lock bar insert. T8 over there as well. And then last but not least, let's do a pocket check and see how it goes in and out of the pocket with that clip. Action is super smooth. It sounds like it might need a little oil. You can hear, I don't know if you can hear that, but you can hear it scraping against the ceramic ball as it closes there, so it might need a little oil in there. All right, the clip. Let's test that out, see if it goes in. Oh yeah, went right in. Fairly deep carry, not much of the knife sticking out there. I like the look of the clip too, the little squiggle. Retention seems fair. It goes in super easy. They didn't put a big, huge ramp there, so there's not much to clear. So once you get it started, it just goes in. Very nice, very good retention. Yeah, and since there's not much surface contacting, it's not very hard to pull out at all, because it doesn't have a big flat area there that's gripping. Clip feels like it's going to be very good. That's always a plus. Let's see, anything else we need to discuss? Like I said, this side has milling. Does this side have the same milling? No. So only the show side has the milling there. The rest of it is all bead blasted. The lock bar, what's going on with that? So it's a two-piece system. It's attached, the bar is attached. So that's kind of different. It's not a traditional frame lock per se. See if I can get down in there and see that. You can see where it's attached. This piece is attached down there. Clip is mounted from the inside, so that keeps the clip screw from showing out here. We do have some nice pockets milled in the other side over there. I'm not sure you can totally see that, but hopefully, so that helps with some weight reduction. Overall, I like the style of it. It feels comfortable in hand. I wish there was some jimping, and I wish the blade didn't dip down below the scales right there. But it's not bad. You would get used to it if you used it daily. It is making that little scraping noise when, I don't know, I think you should be able to hear that. Knife acoustics matter. Let's see, it does not have a place for a lanyard. So you would have to attach the lanyard to the clip if you wanted to use one. So you lanyard guys wouldn't like it. I do like the flushness. There's no edges there with the back spacer. Almost 50%, about 40% back spacer. Yeah. Overall, Kansept's been putting out lots of knives and pretty good quality recently. And I guess now that I look at this blade, this is the darker blade. It was just the picture was looking different because it's not a light blade. It's kind of got a darker gray to it. In different lights, it looks silver, but in the shadows, it looks darker. So when I did look at that White Mountain Knives picture, I was being stupid and not realizing that it was the same knife that I got. So they do offer the same 5 models. It's just this bead blast one, the shadows they've got on the lighting make this blade look darker. And that's from the bead blast finish. They actually bead blasted the blade too, I believe. That's what gave it that color. We get in there and look at it, it kind of looks the same texture as the handle part. So yeah, I wasn't really paying attention. It looked silver in the light when I first looked at it, and I didn't notice it until I looked up on the camera there that it looked darker when I hold it that direction. So yeah, it is the same knife. Appreciate you stopping by and checking out my video. If you don't mind hitting that thumbs up on your way out, I would appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. If you enjoy talking about knives, come join us every morning for Blade Talk at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time on my YouTube channel. A great group of guys get together and sit around and drink coffee and talk about knives for a couple hours every morning. They answer tons of my questions. If you have any questions, they will help you out. We try to all learn together. On Thursdays, I usually do some kind of tutorial thing, whether it's how to ano, how to bead blast, how to black wash, acid wash, stone wash, how to modify stuff, delete flipper tabs. You know, we try to learn something every week. Actually, every day, I'm learning something from these guys. So yeah, stop by if that sounds like something you would enjoy. 8 a.m. Central Standard Time every morning. Getting close to episode 170 in a row. So for 170 days, non-stop, all these guys have gotten together, and I appreciate each and every one of them. We also have a Discord that you can join. The link to the Discord is at the top of my YouTube page. You don't need any kind of invite code. It is free, and you just click the link from a web browser and join in. We have a buy, sell, and trade channel there. We have a modding channel, links to knives we find deals on, all kinds of cool stuff in the Discord. So come check that out. And yeah, I appreciate you being here. You could be doing anything, but you're checking me out, and that means a ton to me. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.